The night started like any other in Atlanta: glitz, glamour, and a packed club buzzing with energy. But what happened next would leave fans speechless and the reality TV world reeling. Rumors had been swirling for weeks about tension between Kendra, Jasmine, and Rasheeda, and everyone wondered if the drama would finally spill into the open. Little did anyone know, this night would go down in LHHATL history as one of the most chaotic, shocking, and jaw-dropping events the show had ever captured. As the lights dimmed and the music thumped through the club, the tension in the air was palpable. Kendra arrived first, dripping in designer eyes, scanning the crowd, and whispers started almost immediately. "She's looking for trouble tonight," one fan muttered, barely containing their excitement. Moments later, Jasmine entered, her energy fierce, her presence commanding every eye in the room. The two locked eyes across the crowded dance floor, and it was clear, something was brewing. But the real shock came when Rasheeda made her grand entrance, walking in with an entourage, exuding confidence and a hint of fire that could ignite the entire club. Fans had been following every subtle jab, every social media post, every side comment between these three women, and now, it was all about to explode in real life. Emotions ran high from the very first interaction. Words were exchanged. Whispers became heated accusations, and what started as a tense standoff quickly escalated. The cameras caught it all. The sidelong glances, the subtle smirks, the sudden bursts of anger that no one could ignore. By the time the first words were shouted across the club, the room was electric with anticipation. "You think you can play me like that?" Kendra yelled, her voice slicing through the music. Jasmine shot back, "Don't even start with me tonight." And Rasheeda stepped in, her tone sharp and deliberate. "This isn't about you two, it's about respect." And then it happened. Fans are shocked, cameras are rolling, and the drama ignites. A spilled drink, a sudden shove, and the air is thick with chaos. Security tried to intervene, but emotions were unstoppable. The family was left divided, alliances were tested, and everyone in the club realized that this wasn't just a fight, it was a battle for pride, reputation, and dominance. Meanwhile, amidst the chaos, Mona Scott Young, ever the peacemaker, rushed to break it up, her voice barely audible over the roaring crowd. Ladies, this is not the way." But even her presence couldn't fully contain the storm that had been building for months. What followed was a mix of tears, shouts, confrontations, and shocking revelations that no one saw coming. By the end of the night, fans were left on the edge of their seats, begging for answers. Who would come out on top? Who would walk away humiliated? And what secrets would finally be revealed when the dust settled? This wasn't just another club night in Atlanta, it was a turning point. A moment that would be talked about for weeks, if not months, to come. Strap in, because what you're about to witness is pure reality TV chaos. Packed with betrayal, raw emotion, and drama that hits harder than anyone could imagine. The storm has begun, and there's no turning back. The night in the club was electric. The lights dim and the bass thumping through every corner. Yet there was an unmistakable tension hanging in the air. Kendra arrived first, each step deliberate, every eye in the room following her as if she owned the place. Whispers started immediately. "She's looking for trouble tonight," someone muttered, excitement and anxiety mixing in their voice. Her eyes scanned the crowd, assessing everyone, every subtle movement a potential threat or opportunity. Not long after, Jasmine entered, and the energy in the room shifted instantly. There was a fierce confidence in her stride, a presence that demanded attention. The crowd sensed it, and the air felt charged. Her eyes locked on Kendra across the dance floor, a silent challenge passing between them. It was clear, tension had reached a boiling point, and the room collectively held its breath, waiting for the inevitable. Then came Rasheeda, making her entrance with an entourage, exuding power and calm confidence that barely hid the fire underneath. The moment she stepped in, the atmosphere thickened. It wasn't just three women in a club anymore, it was three forces colliding, each carrying months of rivalry, unspoken grudges, and simmering emotions. The cameras caught every moment, from subtle glances to quick smirks, and fans at the edge of the crowd immediately sensed history in the making. At first, the interaction was all whispers and sidelong glances, but it didn't take long before the tension escalated. "You think you can play me like that?" Kendra's voice cut through the music, sharp and commanding. Jasmine snapped back, "Don't even start with me tonight." And Rasheeda stepped in, her tone measured but fierce. "This isn't about you two, it's about respect." The crowd immediately went wild, the chaos palpable. A spilled drink here, a sudden shove there, and what had started as a tense standoff became full-blown chaos. Security tried to intervene, but even they seemed powerless against the raw emotion surging through the room. Fans were shocked. Phones went up to capture every angle, and everyone knew they were witnessing something unforgettable. The family was left divided, alliances tested, and the club became a battleground for pride, reputation, and dominance. You always try to put everyone down, but tonight, I proved my place, Jasmine yelled, stepping closer to Kendra. Kendra didn't flinch, her eyes cold and calculated. This night will be unforgettable for you, she shot back. You'll learn your limits. Rasheeda moved between them, raising her hands. Enough. This isn't personal, it's public, and no one needs to see this destruction. Fans' reactions ranged from shrieks to wide-eyed disbelief, the chaos reaching every corner of the club. Cell phone lights flickered like fireflies as people recorded and streamed the unfolding drama live. The emotions ran high, and it felt as if one wrong move could ignite a full-scale battle. A whispered comment in a nearby booth reignited old rivalries, and Rasheeda snapped, "Do you think I've forgotten all of it?" Kendra's voice cut back immediately. "You always think you're on top, but tonight, you won't escape." Jasmine chimed in, "We're not falling for your games." Tension spiraled, and the club became a pressure cooker, each second heavier than the last. Security tried again. A second wave of intervention, but the frenzy was too powerful. The crowd surged with adrenaline, emotions wild and unchecked. Kendra shoved Jasmine, and Rasheeda leaped in to separate them. But even that small intervention couldn't fully contain the storm. Cameras rolled, capturing every shove, every glare, every scream. While fans continued to react with shock and excitement, the atmosphere was a mix of fear, anger, and anticipation. Everyone present knew any minor misstep could explode into something catastrophic. Kendra stared at Rasheeda, her voice low but cutting. "You won't leave here unscathed tonight." Rasheeda's eyes blazed. "I'll protect my respect at all costs." Then came the accidental catalyst. A spilled drink from a nearby spectator sent ripples through the chaos. The minor accident quickly escalated the conflict. Fans were shocked, and social media feeds lit up with live reactions. The energy was now pure electricity, each moment more unpredictable than the last. Amidst all this, Mona Scott-Young appeared, rushing forward with authority, trying to control the uncontrollable. "Ladies, enough. This is not the way." Her voice barely pierced the roar of the club. Yet even Mona, the ultimate peacemaker, seemed powerless against the raw wave of emotions sweeping through Kendra, Jasmine, and Rasheeda. Old grudges surfaced with every word, every stare, and every small motion. Betrayal, past secrets, and personal confrontations rose to the surface, twisting the night into a storm that no one could contain. Kendra threatened to reveal a secret about Rasheeda, heightening the tension even further. Jasmine jumped in. "You can't do that. You're crossing a line." And suddenly, the drama had morphed into something deeper, personal, and explosive. For the first time, the three women were visibly at their breaking points. It wasn't just a fight over a night, it was a culmination of years, of pride, of reputation, of unspoken scores. Flashing lights, rolling cameras, shouting and pushing, the club had transformed into a live battlefield. Every spectator witnessing a spectacle they would never forget. Groups of onlookers ducked behind tables, watching with a mix of awe and fear, while others leaned in closer, desperate to capture every moment. "This is reality TV history," one whispered. "I can't believe this is happening live." Others froze, unsure if they should step back as the storm of emotions swelled around them. Jasmine fixed Kendra with a look that was half anger, half determination. "This fight isn't just tonight, it's the sum of everything we've been through. And tonight, I stake my claim." Kendra's cold, small smile held the promise of escalation. "Your efforts will fail, because tonight, I control everything." Rasheeda raised her hands again, trying to assert calm. "Stop. Everyone is watching, and this chaos will hurt you all." Every element of the club now fed into the explosive atmosphere. Overturned drinks, shouting, shoved tables, unpredictable actions. Cameras captured it all. Fans were shocked, and the tension hit its absolute peak. Emotions ran wild, with pride and position. Hanging in the balance. As the night neared what seemed like a pause, a sudden twist hit the smallest spark that could ignite everything further. Kendra grabbed at Jasmine's dress, a shocking move that sent the crowd into a frenzy. Rasheeda moved immediately, pulling both women apart with her entourage. The club collectively realized that this was just the beginning, and the storm had only started. And as part one of this chaotic night closed, the air remained thick with suspense. The energy was unstoppable, the emotions raw, and every spectator knew they were witnessing the start of a historic LHHATL showdown. A battle that could not be ignored and would not be forgotten. As Rasheeda pulled Kendra and Jasmine apart, the crowd held its collective breath. The tension didn't ease, it multiplied. The room seemed smaller, more charged, as if every heartbeat amplified the chaos around them. Kendra's eyes blazed with fury, her hands shaking slightly, not from fear but from the intensity of emotions she was feeling. Jasmine, equally enraged, glared back, lips pressed tight, determination radiating from every movement. Rasheeda stood between them, a wall of calm in the eye of the storm. Yet even she felt the heat rising. "I can't believe you just did that," Jasmine spat, finally breaking free from Rasheeda's hold for a split second, only to be grabbed again. "You think this is funny? Humiliating me in front of everyone?" Kendra's voice cut through the noise, shaking with anger. Rasheeda's calm tone tried to cut through the fire. "Stop. This is getting out of hand. We're all being watched, and this chaos will destroy more than pride, it will ruin everything." But her words barely registered. The energy in the club was intoxicating and dangerous. Drinks had been spilled, tables nudged, and fans were screaming, some recording live, others just frozen in disbelief. One fan shouted, "I've never seen anything like this. This is pure chaos." The room's atmosphere was electric, a mix of fear, adrenaline, and the thrill of drama unfolding in real time. Kendra lunged, just slightly, her hand reaching towards Jasmine, but Rasheeda intercepted, pushing both women back. "Enough," she yelled, her voice rising. "This stops now, or none of you walk out of here without consequences." But even she knew her control was slipping. Emotions ran high, and pride would not let any of them step down. Jasmine wiped a tear from her eye, not from sadness, but from rage and frustration. "I've tolerated enough. Too many nights of whispers. Too many games. Too many lies," she shouted, voice echoing over the music. Kendra responded immediately, her tone sharp, venomous. "And I've tolerated your lies. Your fake alliances, your smug little face thinking you're untouchable." Rasheeda tried one more time to mediate, placing her hands firmly on both women's shoulders. "Look at me. This isn't the way. Respect is everything, but tonight you're losing it all for nothing." The crowd gasped, some leaning in, some backing away, sensing that the next moment could be explosive. Then, an unexpected twist. A mysterious figure from the crowd, known to both Kendra and Jasmine, shouted something that set off another round of chaos. She started it. "Don't forget that." The words, though brief, were enough to reignite tempers. Kendra's eyes widened, her jaw tightening, and Jasmine's fists clenched at her sides. Rasheeda groaned, realizing that controlling this night was becoming impossible. Kendra stepped closer, voice low but deadly. "You're going to regret every word you've said about me." Jasmine shot back, "I'm done regretting anything. Tonight, everyone sees the real truth." Rasheeda, caught in the middle, shouted, "I swear, if one more thing happens, security will be forced to act. This is madness." The fans were going wild, some screaming for the fight to continue, some pleading for calm. The club's security team moved in, trying to form a human barrier. But the intensity of the three women's confrontation made every intervention feel futile. The chaos was now layered: yelling, shoving, spilled drinks, broken glasses, and a thick mix of adrenaline and fear. In the middle of the chaos, a surprising emotional twist occurred. Kendra, in a sudden burst of vulnerability, shouted over the music, "You all think you know me, but no one knows the sacrifices I've made." Jasmine paused, eyebrows raised, her anger mingling with curiosity. Rasheeda, sensing the opening, leaned in. "Then say it. Stop hiding behind this anger. Tell everyone your truth." For a fleeting moment, the room's energy shifted. The drama had a sudden pause, a breathless suspension, as if everyone were waiting for the emotional bomb to drop. Then Kendra's voice shook, barely audible over the music. "I've fought my whole life, and yet you all judge me without knowing the blood, sweat, and tears behind my face." Jasmine's expression softened for a split second, but pride and ego quickly took over. "I don't need to know, because your actions speak louder than any story. Tonight, your facade ends," she shouted. Rasheeda, frustrated, threw her hands up. "This is exactly why none of you can stand each other. Emotions cloud judgment, and tonight proves it." Suddenly, another twist. A fan's phone caught a private message notification on Kendra's screen. A text that seemed to expose a long-kept secret. The crowd's murmurs grew louder, speculation igniting like wildfire. "What's that message?" One shouted, "Is she hiding something?" Others chanted, the anticipation building. Kendra's face flushed red, her composure cracking for the first time in the night. Jasmine noticed the tension and smirked slightly. "Oh, so it's true. I knew there was something you were keeping from us." Kendra snapped, "You don't know anything. This isn't the time." Rasheeda, now completely exasperated, stepped in again. "I can't handle this. Both of you need to step back before everything blows up completely." But the night was far from over. A misstep, a pushed shoulder, a shouted insult set off the next wave. Kendra and Jasmine were at it again, shoving and yelling, each word a spark, each movement threatening to tip the scales entirely. The crowd roared, cameras flashed, and the club felt like a live battlefield. Every spectator sensing history in the making. Rasheeda, refusing to give up, tried a bold move. She grabbed both women by their arms and spun them apart dramatically, yelling, "Look at me. Enough. The cameras are watching. The fans are watching. And you're making fools of yourselves." The sudden act caused a brief lull, and for a moment, everyone caught their breath. But peace was fleeting. Kendra's eyes narrowed, her lips curling in a determined snarl. "You think you've saved her? No one saves anyone tonight." Jasmine squared her shoulders, voice trembling with rage. "I don't need saving. I need justice." Rasheeda exhaled sharply, realizing that control was slipping entirely from her grasp. And just when it seemed that things might stabilize, the night threw another curveball. An old rival from Kendra's past appeared in the crowd, shouting accusations and reigniting a vendetta that had simmered for years. The room erupted again, drinks flying, people shouting, and security scrambling to contain the growing chaos. Emotions ran high, and pride fueled every move. Kendra turned to face the new challenger, eyes blazing. "You've got nothing on me." Jasmine joined in. "Stay out of this if you value your life tonight." Rasheeda, now exhausted, tried one last intervention. "Enough. This is insanity." The fans' reactions were a spectacle of their own. Some screamed encouragement, others filmed every moment, and a few simply gawked, mesmerized by the pure, unfiltered chaos. The energy in the room was palpable, electric, almost dangerous. And every second felt like it could explode into something irreversible. As part 2 of this night continued, the intensity reached levels no one expected. Alliances were questioned, secrets hinted at, pride clashed with vengeance, and the storm showed no signs of abating. The night was alive, unpredictable, and unforgettable, with every moment leading into a deeper, darker layer of drama. And as part 2 closed, the crowd was left in suspense. The chaos had escalated beyond anyone's control, and every spectator knew what came next would either make history or leave everyone shattered. The chaos showed no signs of slowing as Kendra, Jasmine, and Rasheeda stood in the middle of the club, each fueled by pride, rage, and months of unresolved tension. The crowd formed a tight circle, phones raised, some cheering, some gasping, all witnessing what felt like the battle of the century. Kendra's hands trembled, not from fear, but from the intensity of her fury. Jasmine's jaw was tight, her every movement radiating determination. Rasheeda, in the center, tried desperately to maintain calm, but the storm surrounding her made every intervention seem futile. "You think you can walk in here and act untouchable?" Kendra yelled, pointing at Jasmine, her voice cutting over the music. "Tonight, everyone sees the real you." Jasmine's eyes flashed. "I don't just act untouchable, I am untouchable. And you're about to get a reality check." Rasheeda tried once more to mediate, placing herself between the two. "Enough. This is not just about pride anymore. It's about respect. If you can't handle that, you'll regret it." But words no longer mattered. The air was electric, every glance a challenge, every step a threat. A spilled drink had long since ignited the chaos. Broken glasses and overturned tables littered the floor, and fans were now screaming in anticipation. One shouted, "This is insane. I can't believe what I'm seeing." Another yelled, "Keep going. Don't stop." The energy was overwhelming. A mix of fear, thrill. Energy was overwhelming. A mix of fear, thrill, and pure reality TV spectacle. Then came the first shocking twist of the night. A whispered secret, leaked by a bystander, reached Jasmine's ears. She froze, eyes widening as the words hit her like a bombshell. "You knew, all this time." Her voice trembled with disbelief and anger. Kendra smirked. "I told you. The truth always comes out eventually." Rasheeda's patience thinned. "This is why nothing ever gets resolved. Stop dragging secrets into the middle of the club." Jasmine's response was swift and heated. "You think this was just about tonight? It's about everything: the lies, the manipulation, the games." Kendra stepped closer, their faces inches apart. "And I've tolerated enough of your manipulation tonight, I take back control." Rasheeda tried to intervene physically, placing her hands firmly on both women. "Look at me. Step back. This isn't just about you, it's about everyone watching." The crowd erupted again, the tension now reaching a fever pitch. A fan accidentally knocked into a table, sending more drinks flying. And the small accidents became catalysts for renewed fury. Emotions ran high. and each woman's pride fueled every reaction. Kendra shoved Jasmine, who retaliated immediately, and Rasheeda found herself holding both back as the room seemed to close in around them. Amidst the chaos, a dramatic revelation surfaced. Rasheeda, trying to regain control, whispered something from the sidelines. "You've all been blind to what's really going on. Tonight proves who truly holds power." The words ignited new fire in both Kendra and Jasmine. Kendra laughed bitterly. "Power? You think you hold power? Power is earned, and tonight, I reclaim mine." Jasmine's voice rose, trembling but forceful. "Enough. I've waited too long for this moment. Tonight, everyone sees the truth about you." The emotional stakes couldn't have been higher. Every bystander felt the tension, the rawness of pride clashing with vengeance. The music thumped harder, mirroring the pounding hearts of everyone in the room. Flashes from cameras made the scene feel surreal, almost cinematic, like a showdown scripted for maximum drama. Then, an unexpected twist: an old ally of Jasmine appeared. Someone who had been absent for months, stepping forward and shouting accusations at Kendra. "Don't forget what she did. Everyone knows the truth now." Kendra's eyes widened in disbelief, rage mixing with surprise. Jasmine smirked, enjoying the shift in power dynamics. Rasheeda groaned audibly, realizing this night was spiraling further out of her control. The confrontation escalated physically. Kendra and Jasmine lunged, arms swinging, shoving, pulling, each moment more dangerous than the last. Rasheeda moved in between them repeatedly, yelling, "Stop, stop now. This is not worth it." But the words barely registered. The storm of raw emotion had taken over completely. Fans' reactions became a spectacle of their own. Some filmed every move. Some screamed in delight. Others stepped back in fear. The tension was palpable, a living, breathing force that seemed to electrify the entire club. Every shout, every shove, every glare added layers to the already combustible mix of anger, pride, and vengeance. Kendra suddenly revealed a personal vendetta, shouting over the music, "You've humiliated me for too long. Tonight it ends." Jasmine's face turned red, eyes wide. "And you think you can intimidate me? I've endured enough. And tonight, I take what's mine." Rasheeda stepped between them once again, but this time, her presence seemed less commanding, more desperate. "Please, control yourselves. This is insanity." The crowd sensed history unfolding. Whispers of betrayal, past secrets, and emotional confrontations circulated rapidly. Every fan recording knew they were witnessing something that would go viral, something unforgettable. The club had become a stage for raw, unfiltered drama, each woman a protagonist in her own story of pride and power. Then came the most shocking twist. Yet a phone alert on Kendra's screen revealed an unexpected secret about Jasmine, one that could turn the entire night upside down. Gasps erupted, the crowd buzzing. "Did you see that?" Whispers filled every corner. Jasmine froze, shock and anger mixing on her face. Kendra's smirk widened, surprised. The truth always comes out eventually. Rasheeda's hands flew to her head, realizing the delicate balance she was trying to maintain was gone. The emotional stakes escalated even higher. Kendra's voice shook with intensity. "I've carried this for months, and now everyone knows. Tonight, my strength is undeniable." Jasmine's fists clenched, her pride refusing to bow. "You may think you've won, but I am far from defeated. Tonight proves nothing without my story." Rasheeda could only watch as the confrontation reached levels she had never anticipated. An accidental shove reignited the chaos. Drinks spilled, tables tipped, and the crowd surged with adrenaline. Kendra and Jasmine were at it again, every motion charged with intent and history. Rasheeda tried to pull them apart, her patience worn thin. "Look at me. This ends now." But it was already too late. The night had become a storm. Unpredictable, unstoppable, and unforgettable. And just as part 3 closed, a new element entered the chaos. Someone from Rasheeda's past appeared in the club, ready to stir old wounds and ignite new conflicts. The night promised more drama, more betrayals, and a tension that no one could escape. The club seemed to shrink as Rasheeda's past arrived unexpectedly, a figure from her old life stepping into the chaos with intent. Every eye turned instantly, sensing the storm that was about to hit. Kendra and Jasmine paused, curiosity and suspicion mixing with their existing rage. The crowd sensed another layer of drama unfolding, tension thick enough to cut with a knife. "So this is why you've been acting like a saint?" the newcomer shouted, voice dripping with accusation. Rasheeda froze, eyes wide, jaw tight. "You have no idea what I've sacrificed," she shot back, her tone defensive but tinged with fear. Kendra's smirk widened. "Finally, some new entertainment. I've been waiting for this twist all night." Jasmine's eyes glinted, excitement and anger mingling. Oh, this is perfect. Tonight, secrets come out, and everyone sees the truth. The crowd erupted, sensing that tonight's chaos had just entered a new dimension. Drinks toppled over, tables shook, and security scrambled to regain control. But it was futile. Emotions ran high, and the collision of past and present created an atmosphere so tense it felt like the club itself was holding its breath. Kendra stepped closer, whispering to Jasmine but loud enough for Rasheeda to hear. Watch closely. This is the part where your little image crumbles. Jasmine's laugh was sharp and cold. Image, please. It's about power. And tonight, power shifts. Rasheeda, caught between her past and present, tried to regain control. Look at me. Focus. This ends now before someone gets seriously hurt. But no one listened. The tension spiraled, pride and vengeance fueling every movement. The newcomer pushed Rasheeda slightly, a provocation that unleashed a burst of fury. You don't get to push me tonight, Rasheeda yelled, shoving back, her force catching Kendra and Jasmine off guard. Shouts echoed through the club as everyone felt the storm intensify. Then came an emotional twist. Rasheeda revealed a secret, long buried, something so personal, it shocked the crowd into silence. All of you think you know me, but none of you understand what I've gone through. Her voice cracked with emotion, eyes glistening. Kendra and Jasmine paused, momentarily stunned, but pride quickly took over. We don't care about your sob stories, Kendra spat. Tonight is about actions. And your actions speak louder than any words. Jasmine stepped forward, voice trembling with anger. I've tolerated your lies for too long. Everyone will know the truth tonight. Rasheeda's hands flew up in frustration. Truth. This is chaos, not truth. Control yourselves before you destroy everything. A spilled drink reignited the tension, hitting a nearby fan who screamed in shock. The small incident became a catalyst, and the chaos flared again. Kendra lunged at Jasmine, who retaliated immediately, and Rasheeda intervened, trying to pull both apart. Stop. Stop this now. The crowd roared, cameras flashing, capturing every shove, every glare, every shout. Then an unexpected twist. Someone whispered a revelation about Kendra, a secret that threatened to shift the entire night's dynamics. Jasmine's eyes widened, her smirk growing. Oh, so the mighty Kendra has a skeleton too. How perfect. Kendra's face flushed. You don't know what you're talking about. Stay out of this. Rasheeda groaned audibly, realizing her control was slipping beyond repair. The tension reached its peak as the three women circled each other, pride and anger driving every movement. This ends tonight, Kendra growled, eyes blazing. I decide who leaves victorious. Jasmine countered, voice rising. Victory. Tonight, everyone sees the truth about you. Rasheeda shouted over the chaos. ENOUGH. This is beyond control. Fans screamed, some filming, some cheering, some frozen in disbelief. The club had become a battlefield, the energy palpable, almost dangerous. Every movement, every word, every glance carried weight, history, and the promise of explosive confrontation. Then came the next dramatic twist. A fight broke out near the bar, not between the main three, but involving friends and supporters, escalating the situation further. Kendra and Jasmine momentarily paused, looking at the new chaos, only to have Rasheeda grabbed them back together. Look at what you've done. This is insanity. But the chaos was unstoppable. Kendra shoved Jasmine again, who retaliated, and Rasheeda found herself in the middle, physically struggling to maintain any semblance of order. The crowd's reactions were extreme: screams, camera flashes, every eye glued to the spectacle unfolding before them. Then came a shocking emotional revelation from Kendra. You think you've seen my limits? Tonight, you'll see the real me, the one I've kept hidden from everyone. Jasmine's expression hardened. Keep your secrets. Tonight is about exposure, and your lies fall tonight. Rasheeda's voice cracked. Please, you're tearing yourselves apart. Tearing the club apart. Tearing each other apart. The intensity escalated further when the newcomer from Rasheeda's past stepped closer, adding fuel to the fire. You've all been playing games, but tonight, the real rules come out. The crowd gasped, sensing another shift in power dynamics. The music, lights, and chaos all intertwined, amplifying the drama to an almost unbearable level. A sudden shove from Jasmine sent Kendra stumbling into a table, drinks spilling everywhere, fans screaming in shock. Rasheeda grabbed both women again, shouting, "Look at me. Enough. This is madness." But even she knew that tonight, madness had already taken over. Then an unexpected whisper spread through the crowd, a rumor about Rasheeda herself. something shocking that no one had anticipated. Kendra and Jasmine's attention shifted instantly. "Is this true?" Kendra asked sharply. Jasmine's smirk widened. "Finally, we're even tonight." Rasheeda's eyes widened, realizing that her past, present, and the chaos of the night had all collided into one uncontrollable storm. As Part 4 reached its climax, the energy in the club was at an all-time high. Spilled drinks, shouting, shoved tables, and raw emotion filled every corner. The fans, the cameras, the women themselves were caught in a whirlwind of betrayal, secrets, and pride. And as the night continued, it was clear, the storm was far from over, and the next moments would escalate beyond imagination. The club was a whirlwind of chaos, the energy almost tangible as Kendra, Jasmine, and Rasheeda circled each other like predators, each waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The crowd's excitement mixed with fear, cameras flashing, fans screaming, capturing every tense glance, every shove, every whispered threat. The spilled drinks, overturned tables, and broken glasses reflected the storm that had taken over completely. Kendra's eyes were sharp, her breathing heavy. "You think tonight is just about fighting. It's about showing everyone who really controls this game." Jasmine stepped closer, fists clenched. "Control. I don't need control. I need truth. And tonight, everyone sees the truth about you." Rasheeda, now exhausted from trying to mediate, raised her hands. "Enough. This is beyond chaos. This is destruction." But her words fell like whispers into a hurricane. An unexpected twist emerged from the crowd. A former ally of Kendra's appeared, yelling a secret that threatened to unravel everything. "Don't forget what she did behind closed doors." The accusation hit like lightning, and the crowd gasped, tension spiking to a new level. Kendra's jaw tightened, rage and shock mingling, while Jasmine's eyes lit up. "Finally, the scales are balancing tonight." Rasheeda groaned, realizing the night had entered a level she couldn't control. Suddenly, physical confrontation escalated. Kendra lunged at Jasmine, arms swinging, and Jasmine retaliated immediately, both fueled by months of grudges and pride. Rasheeda jumped between them, shouting, "Look at me, stop this, think about what you're doing." But even her commanding presence couldn't halt the fire that had consumed them. Then came a revelation that shocked the entire club. Kendra shouted, "You've all underestimated me. Tonight, the truth comes out, and no one can deny my strength." Jasmine, eyes blazing, countered, "Your strength. Strength doesn't lie. The truth is power, and tonight, power is mine." Rasheeda tried to intervene, placing herself physically between the two. "Please, control yourselves. This isn't just about pride anymore." The crowd erupted again. Fans screamed, some recording, some cheering, some frozen in disbelief. The atmosphere was electric. Every glance, every word, every shove amplified the tension. Spilled drinks and broken glasses littered the floor, the club itself seeming to vibrate with the raw energy of the confrontation. Another twist shocked everyone. A whispered rumor about Jasmine's past reached Kendra, igniting her anger. "So it's true. Finally, the lies come to light," she yelled. Jasmine's eyes narrowed, smirk curling. "And you think this stops me? Tonight, everything is exposed. Your time is over." Rasheeda sighed, exhausted. "The chaos is out of control. Everyone calm down, or this ends badly for all of you." But peace was fleeting. Kendra and Jasmine exchanged shoves, each move sharper, angrier, more dangerous. Rasheeda held them apart with all her strength, shouting over the roar of the crowd, "Stop. This is unacceptable." Fans screamed, capturing every moment, watching live as the night escalated beyond imagination. Then, a dramatic emotional revelation erupted from Rasheeda herself. Her voice shook. "You all think this is just drama, but none of you understand what it's like to be pulled in every direction, to be torn apart by loyalty and betrayal." Her words hung in the air, a brief pause in the chaos, before pride and rage took over again. Kendra, face red with fury, shouted, "Enough. Your excuses don't matter. Tonight, I show everyone who's really in control." Jasmine's fists clenched, voice trembling but forceful. "Control. Tonight, everyone sees the lies, the betrayal, and the truth. Tonight, the facade ends." Rasheeda's hands flew to her head, realizing her role as mediator had evaporated entirely. Another unexpected twist. A close friend of Jasmine's revealed a secret about Kendra, turning the tide once more. The crowd gasped, excitement and shock rippling through every corner. Jasmine smirked. "Finally, balance." Kendra's eyes blazed with fury. "You think this changes anything? I've survived worse." Rasheeda groaned, realizing the night had morphed into an uncontrollable storm of pride, betrayal, and raw emotion. The physical confrontation escalated again. Kendra and Jasmine lunged, shoving and yelling, while Rasheeda tried to intervene. Look at me, step back, control yourselves. But the storm had taken on a life of its own. Fans were screaming, recording, some frozen in shock, as the club became a battlefield of raw, unfiltered emotion. Then came the ultimate twist. A whispered secret about Rasheeda herself reached the crowd. Kendra and Jasmine's attention shifted immediately. So the mighty Rasheeda has secrets too? Kendra asked sharply. Jasmine's smirk widened. This night just got even better. Rasheeda's eyes widened, realizing her past, present, and the chaos of the night had all collided, making the storm nearly unstoppable. As Part 5 closed, the intensity was at an all-time high. Spilled drinks, shouting, shoved tables, broken glasses, and raw emotion filled every corner. The crowd, the cameras, and the women themselves were caught in a whirlwind of betrayal, secrets, and pride. And as the night moved toward its climax, everyone knew the final showdown would be explosive, unforgettable, and historic. The tension in the club had reached a level that felt almost unbearable. Kendra, Jasmine, and Rasheeda stood like lightning rods. Every glance charged, every movement a spark threatening to ignite total chaos. The crowd pressed in, phones raised, capturing every moment, every shove, every shouted insult. The spilled drinks, overturned tables, and broken glasses reflected the storm that had consumed the room completely. Kendra's eyes blazed, her voice cutting through the music. Enough talk. Tonight, everyone sees who really commands respect. Jasmine's fists clenched, anger and pride radiating from her every movement. Respect. Respect is earned, and tonight, everyone sees the truth about you. Rasheeda, physically and emotionally exhausted, tried to mediate one last time. Look at me, control yourselves. This is insanity. But mediation was no longer possible. Pride, vengeance, and raw emotion had taken over completely. A sudden shove from Jasmine sent Kendra stumbling into a table, drinks flying, fans screaming, chaos erupting anew. Rasheeda jumped in, arms outstretched, trying to physically separate them. Stop. Think about what you're doing. The crowd roared, witnessing every heated movement, every angry glance, every word dripping with fury. Then came the shocking twist of the night. A long-hidden secret about Kendra, one that threatened to completely shift the dynamics, surfaced from a whispered rumor in the crowd. Jasmine's eyes widened with anticipation, smirk curling. Finally, the scales are even. Kendra's face flushed, rage mixing with disbelief. You don't know what you're talking about. Rasheeda groaned, realizing that the night had escalated beyond anything she could control. The confrontation escalated physically again. Kendra lunged at Jasmine, fists swinging, and Jasmine retaliated immediately. Rasheeda intervened, holding both apart, yelling, "Enough! This ends now." The room felt like it could explode at any second. Every shout, every shove, every glare fueled the frenzy. Fans screaming, cameras flashing, recording history in real time. Then came the emotional climax. Rasheeda shouted, her voice cracking, "You all think this is just drama. But none of you understand the pressure, the betrayal, the weight of keeping peace." Kendra's eyes narrowed, voice rising. Pressure, betrayal, eyes narrowed, voice rising. Tonight, everyone sees the real me, the one I've protected for too long. Jasmine stepped closer, voice trembling with rage. And I've waited too long for my moment. Tonight, your lies, your games end. Another twist escalated the drama. Someone from Rasheeda's past re-entered the scene, adding fuel to the fire, accusing her of betrayal, reigniting old conflicts. The crowd gasped, the tension spiking higher, cameras capturing the chaos. Kendra smirked. This night just got even better. Jasmine's grin was sharp and cold. Finally, the truth comes out for everyone to see. Rasheeda's hands flew to her head, realizing her past, present, and the night's chaos had collided into an unstoppable storm. The physical chaos intensified. Kendra and Jasmine lunged, shoved, screamed, each move more aggressive than the last. Rasheeda tried desperately to separate them, shouting, "Look at me, step back, control yourselves." But the storm had taken on a life of its own. Fans screamed, recorded, and gawked, some frozen in shock, others cheering, all witnessing history in the making. Then came the ultimate revelation. Kendra exposed a secret that shocked everyone, threatening to destroy alliances, reputations, and the night itself. Jasmine's eyes widened, smirk fading into rage. "You think this stops me? I've endured enough, and tonight, I take what's mine." Rasheeda's voice shook with desperation. "Please, think before you act. This ends badly if you continue." The final moments approached like a ticking time bomb. Kendra and Jasmine circled, pride and rage blinding them, ready to lunge again. Rasheeda, in a last-ditch effort, stepped between them, holding her hands up. Enough. This is it, control yourselves or nothing good comes of this. The crowd's roar was deafening, some screaming encouragement, others gasping in horror, all on the edge of their seats. Then, the climax exploded. A shove, a scream, a lunge. Chaos reached its peak. Drinks flew, tables tipped, cameras flashed, fans shrieked, and the energy in the club was almost unbearable. Every word, every glance, every movement carried the weight of months, secrets, betrayals, and pride. Kendra, Jasmine, and Rasheeda were locked in a battle of dominance and emotion, each unwilling to yield. A final emotional revelation shook the room. Rasheeda's voice cracked. This isn't just about tonight. It's about years of loyalty, betrayal, and pride. If you don't stop now, none of you walk out unscathed. Kendra's eyes narrowed, fury blazing. I've survived everything. Tonight proves who's in control. Jasmine's voice trembled with determination. I've waited too long. Tonight, the truth wins. And in the chaos, the club seemed to freeze for a split second. Fans, cameras, everyone paused, realizing that history was being made, that the night would be remembered forever. The storm of anger, pride, betrayal, and raw emotion had reached its zenith. As Part 6 closes, the scene is set for the aftermath, the fallout, the final reckoning. The energy, the chaos, and the drama have reached an explosive climax, leaving everyone, Kendra, Jasmine, Rasheeda, the fans, and the viewers on the edge of their seats, waiting to see what comes next. The night has been unforgettable, wild, and chaotic, a storm of emotion that no one can ignore, a historic moment in the world of LHHATL. The club was eerily quiet now, but the tension lingered in the air like smoke that refused to dissipate. Kendra, Jasmine, and Rasheeda each retreated to separate corners, catching their breath, nursing minor bruises, and silently processing the emotional devastation of the night. The fans, still buzzing from the chaos, whispered to one another, replaying every shove, every glare, every revelation in their minds. Every phone screen glowed, replaying clips, streaming live, sharing moments that would go viral before the night even ended. The energy was electric, but fragile, like a storm waiting for the next gust of wind to explode again. Kendra's eyes scanned the room, still burning with fury, but now tinged with a calculation. Pride had driven her into the chaos, but strategy was creeping back. She thought of all the moments that had fueled her rage, the whispers behind her back, the hidden alliances, the secrets that others had tried to bury. Tonight is just the beginning, she murmured under her breath, fingers clenching into fists. She wasn't done. She wouldn't be done. The night had lit a fire that would not be extinguished. Jasmine, sitting on a bar stool, wiped a tear from her cheek, not from sadness, but from the adrenaline and the intensity of emotions she had unleashed. They think they can intimidate me, she whispered to a friend nearby. They think this ends tonight, but this is only the beginning. Her voice was quiet but filled with a dangerous certainty. Fans nearby exchanged glances, realizing that the drama was far from over. What had just happened was monumental, but the next steps would be even more explosive. Rasheeda, now leaning against a wall, exhaled shakily, eyes darting between the two women. She had tried to mediate, to calm the storm, but the night had proven that control was fleeting. I can't believe how far this went, she muttered, almost to herself. I tried. I really tried. The weight of responsibility pressed heavily on her, knowing that any misstep could reignite the chaos at any second. Her mind raced, thinking of the potential fallout. Alliances shattered, reputations ruined, relationships strained beyond repair. The night was a turning point, a moment where nothing would ever be the same. The fans began to regroup, their excitement palpable. Some debated the night's events, some speculated on what secrets had been revealed, and others discussed the alliances and betrayals that had shaped the chaos. Did you see how Rasheeda tried to hold them apart? One whispered, eyes wide. I've never seen anyone so outmatched by pure emotion. Another added, Kendra and Jasmine. I can't believe their rage. This is historic. The club felt alive, even in the lull between fights, as if the energy of the night had embedded itself in every corner. A sudden notification on one of the phones captured everyone's attention, a leaked message from earlier in the evening. One that hinted at even deeper secrets, alliances, and betrayals. Kendra glanced at it first, her eyes narrowing. Jasmine noticed immediately, her smirk returning, sharp and calculating. Rasheeda's hands flew to her head, realizing that the night had only revealed a fraction of the drama. What had seemed like a climax was just a prelude. The tension was far from over, and the next storm was already brewing. Kendra stood suddenly, her movement deliberate, eyes sweeping the room. "Everyone thinks they've seen me tonight," she said, voice low but deadly, "but they haven't seen the real me. Not even close." Jasmine rose as well, matching her stance, eyes blazing, energy almost physical. "And they haven't seen me either," she said, her voice trembling with intensity. "I've held back for too long. Tonight is only the start." Rasheeda stepped between them once more, exhaling sharply. "Enough. You've pushed this too far. Control your emotions." But her voice barely carried over the charged silence. Suddenly, a familiar figure emerged from the crowd, someone who had been absent for months, with a reputation for stirring drama and secrets. Their appearance reignited the room instantly. "So this is where the chaos begins again?" they asked, voice dripping with anticipation. Kendra's eyes narrowed, recognizing the threat immediately. Jasmine's grin widened, seeing an opportunity to turn the tables. Rasheeda's heart sank, knowing that her night of trying to mediate was over. She was about to be pulled back into a storm she couldn't control. The energy shifted, almost imperceptibly at first, then with sudden intensity, whispers spread, speculation grew, and the atmosphere thickened like fog. Fans leaned in closer, their phones capturing every subtle movement, every glance, every subtle shift in tension. The room became a living organism, reacting to every emotion, every word, every unspoken threat. The night was far from over, and it was clear that the next chapter would be more explosive than anything before. Kendra stepped closer to Jasmine, close enough that the tension was almost physical, almost unbearable. "Tonight isn't over," she said, voice low and dangerous. "You think you've won, but this is far from finished." Jasmine's eyes glinted, a mix of rage and triumph. "I've been waiting for this moment for months," she whispered, "and tonight, everyone will know the truth. Everyone." Rasheeda stepped forward, hands raised, trying to separate them again. "Look at me. If this escalates, no one walks out unscathed. Control yourselves." The fans held their breath, sensing the imminent clash. The storm had been momentarily paused, but every movement, every gaze, every exhalation carried the weight of impending chaos. The spilled drinks, the broken glasses, and the overturned tables were silent witnesses to what had already happened. But now the anticipation of what was coming next electrified the air. Then came the subtle but powerful twist, an unexpected secret whispered from the back of the room. A revelation about both Kendra and Jasmine that none of the fans had anticipated. Gasps spread instantly, eyes widened, and phones swiveled to capture the moment. The energy surged, unpredictable and wild, a prelude to another inevitable eruption. Rasheeda's hands flew to her face in despair, realizing that controlling the night was no longer an option. Kendra's voice cut through the murmurs, low but intense. "So it comes to this. Secrets exposed, alliances broken. Tonight defines who we are." Jasmine's eyes narrowed, smirk curling with calculated intensity. "And we all see the truth." With calculated intensity. "And we all tonight, nothing is hidden. Everyone knows where the power lies." Rasheeda groaned audibly, "ENOUGH. Control yourselves." But the night had already taken on a life of its own. The fans erupted, shouting, recording, reacting, each caught in the drama like a wave they couldn't escape. The club felt alive, dangerous, almost sentient in its response to the emotions swirling inside. The stage was set for another explosive confrontation, one that would push Kendra, Jasmine, and Rasheeda to the limits of pride, endurance, and emotional control. The storm was building again. Shoves, glances, and unspoken threats created a tension that crackled like electricity in the air. The night had proven that emotions were unpredictable, pride was dangerous, and secrets were weapons. And as the next phase of this historic showdown approached, one thing was certain: fans would not forget tonight, nor would Kendra, Jasmine, or Rasheeda. The air in the club was thick with anticipation, every movement charged with the intensity of the night's chaos. Kendra, Jasmine, and Rasheeda had resumed their positions, eyes locked, breathing heavy, pride and fury radiating from each of them like flames. Fans pressed closer, phones raised, capturing every nuance of emotion, every subtle shift in tension. It was more than entertainment, it was a spectacle of raw human emotion. A display of pride, power, and unfiltered drama that no one could look away from. Kendra's fingers clenched into fists, her mind racing with strategies and potential moves. "Tonight isn't just about proving myself," she muttered under her breath, voice tight with determination. "It's about showing everyone who I really am." Everyone sees it now. Jasmine, catching the intensity in Kendra's eyes, mirrored her focus. "I've been waiting for this night for months," she whispered to a friend nearby. "Every lie, every secret, every betrayal. Tonight, it all comes out." Rasheeda, now leaning against the bar, sighed, knowing she was once again caught between two forces she could barely control. The club's energy shifted again, as whispers began circulating among the fans. Someone mentioned a previously unknown betrayal. Someone else hinted at a hidden alliance, and suddenly, the tension rose even higher. Kendra's eyes narrowed, realizing that the night was far from predictable. Jasmine's grin returned, sharp and calculated, sensing opportunity in the chaos. Rasheeda's hands flew to her head. Enough. You're going too far. But the storm had already taken a life of its own. Then came the first subtle escalation. Kendra stepped closer to Jasmine, their proximity almost unbearable. "So you think this night proves everything?" she said, voice low. "Dangerous." Jasmine's eyes glinted, smirk curling. "It proves that secrets don't stay buried. It proves that pride matters. And tonight, everyone sees the truth about you." Rasheeda moved between them, hands up, desperately trying to contain the tension. "Look at me. Control yourselves. This is insanity." But her presence barely registered against the intensity building between the two women. A spilled drink reignited the chaos, landing near a group of fans who screamed in surprise. The movement triggered a new chain reaction. Shoves, startled reactions, and renewed shouting echoed through the club. Kendra and Jasmine, fueled by pride and adrenaline, lunged, shoving and pushing, each retaliating faster than the other could react. Rasheeda grabbed both of them, her voice cracking. "Stop. This ends now." The crowd screamed, caught between horror and excitement, watching history unfold before their eyes. Then came the next dramatic twist. A whispered revelation about Rasheeda herself spread from the back of the club. Fans gasped, phones pivoting to capture her reaction. Kendra's eyes lit up, seeing an opportunity to regain advantage. Jasmine's grin widened, sensing that the balance of power was shifting yet again. Rasheeda froze, realizing that her past had finally caught up with her, and there was no turning back. The intensity escalated further. Shoves became pushes, words became yells, and every glance carried the weight of months, even years, of unresolved tension. Kendra shouted over the music, "Tonight, everyone sees who I really am." Jasmine countered, voice trembling but filled with fire, "And everyone sees the truth. Nothing is hidden anymore." Rasheeda's hands flew up, her voice almost pleading, "ENOUGH. Think before you act. This ends now." Fans screamed, some cheering, some frozen in disbelief, others recording every single second. The club had become a battlefield of emotions, pride, and raw human conflict. Every shove, every glare, every subtle movement was a testament to the tension that had been building for months. It was a spectacle no one could look away from. Then came a shocking revelation. An unexpected ally of Kendra's appeared. Someone who had been absent from the night's chaos until now. Their sudden appearance sparked a new layer of tension, reigniting old rivalries and creating fresh alliances. "So you thought you could handle this alone?" the newcomer asked, voice dripping with challenge. Kendra smirked, nodding slightly, while Jasmine's eyes narrowed, sensing another threat. Rasheeda groaned, knowing the night had spiraled even further out of control. The physical confrontations resumed with renewed intensity. Kendra and Jasmine clashed again, shoves turning into grabs, words into screams. Rasheeda moved between them repeatedly, but each intervention seemed less effective. The fans were screaming, phones capturing every heated glance, every shove, every shouted accusation. The room was alive with chaos, and it felt as though it could erupt again at any second. Another whispered secret circulated through the crowd, this time about Jasmine adding fuel to the fire. Kendra's eyes narrowed, smirk returning. "So it isn't just you who's hiding things." Jasmine's expression hardened, voice rising, "And tonight, everything comes to light. Every lie, every betrayal, everyone sees it." Rasheeda's hands flew to her head, realizing that trying to mediate had become impossible. The tension between the three women reached a boiling point. Shoves, pushes, and shouted insults escalated with every passing second. Pride, rage, and raw emotion had taken over completely. The fans were caught in the spectacle, some cheering, some gasping, others whispering theories and analyzing alliances. The energy was almost unbearable, a living, breathing force that filled every inch of the club. Kendra stepped back, exhaling sharply, eyes still locked on Jasmine. "Tonight is far from over," she muttered, voice low but deadly. Jasmine returned the stare, smirk curling. "And I wouldn't have it any other way." Secrets revealed, pride exposed. Tonight, the truth reigns. Rasheeda stepped between them one last time, voice trembling. "Look at me. Control yourselves. This isn't just chaos, it's dangerous." The fans gasped, phones pivoting, capturing every last detail. The room was alive with anticipation, the air thick with suspense. The night had escalated into a level of drama that no one could have predicted, yet everyone had been waiting for. Pride, vengeance, secrets, and raw emotion had collided into a spectacle that would be remembered forever. And even as the women paused, breathing heavily, bruised and exhausted, it was clear, the night's drama was far from over. The tension lingered, unresolved, promising that the next moment's next words, next moves, next revelations would be even more explosive, unpredictable, and unforgettable than everything that had come before. The club felt like it was holding its breath, waiting for the next eruption. Kendra, Jasmine, and Rasheeda stood in tense silence, eyes locked. Every muscle in their bodies coiled like springs, ready to snap. The fans leaned closer, whispers running through the room like wildfire. Everyone sensing that the calm was temporary, that the storm was far from over. Spilled drinks, broken glasses, and tipped chairs littered the floor. Silent witnesses to the emotional chaos that had already unfolded, but the tension promised there was much more to come. Kendra's hands trembled slightly as she clenched them into fists. "You think this is over?" she murmured under her breath, jaw tight. "Tonight is just the beginning." Jasmine's eyes followed her, sharp and calculating. "I've waited too long for this moment," she whispered to a friend nearby. "Every betrayal, every lie, every hidden agenda tonight, it all comes to light." Rasheeda leaned against the wall, exhausted but alert, knowing that the night was entering a new phase of unpredictability. "Look at me," she muttered, almost to herself. Control before it spirals further." The crowd's energy shifted again as a new figure entered the scene, someone who had remained unseen, silently observing the chaos from the sidelines. Their sudden appearance sent a ripple through the crowd, whispers spreading instantly. Kendra's eyes narrowed, recognizing a potential threat. Jasmine's smirk widened, sensing an opportunity. Rasheeda groaned audibly, realizing that the night had once again escalated, pulling her into chaos she could not control. Then came the first verbal clash of the new phase. Kendra stepped forward, voice low but deadly. "So it continues. Secrets, lies, betrayals. Tonight, everyone sees it all." Jasmine's eyes narrowed, voice rising with intensity. "And tonight, everyone sees the truth about you. The games end here." Rasheeda stepped between them, hands raised, her voice trembling. "Enough. Control yourselves. This is out of hand." But the tension was almost physical, vibrating through the room, and her words barely registered over the anticipation and fear. A sudden spill near the bar reignited the chaos. Fans screamed, shoving aside to avoid the liquid. Screamed, shoving aside to avoid the drinks splashing everywhere. The movement triggered renewed shoves and heated exchanges between Kendra and Jasmine, each retaliating with more force than before. Rasheeda tried desperately to intervene, shouting, "Stop! Think before you act." The fans roared, some cheering, some horrified, all captivated by the ongoing spectacle. Then came a shocking revelation from an unexpected source, a whispered secret about Kendra that instantly shifted the room's energy. Jasmine's eyes lit up with anticipation. "Finally," she muttered, voice cold. "Now the scales are tipping." Kendra's jaw tightened, rage mixing with disbelief. Rasheeda's hands flew to her head in frustration, realizing that the storm was far from contained. The physical confrontation escalated once again. Kendra lunged at Jasmine, fists swinging, and Jasmine retaliated immediately. Rasheeda tried to hold them apart, shouting over the roar of the crowd, "Look at me. Stop this before it gets worse." But the chaos had a life of its own. Fans screamed, recording every moment, some frozen in shock, others cheering with glee. The club had become a living arena of emotion, pride, and raw power. Another twist emerged as a secret about Jasmine's past reached the crowd. Gasps rippled instantly through the room. Kendra's eyes narrowed, smirk returning as she sensed advantage. Jasmine's expression hardened, her smirk now edged with steel. "You think this changes anything? Tonight, the truth wins, no matter what secrets surface." Rasheeda's hands flew to her face in despair. Realizing that her attempts at mediation had been futile, the storm had fully consumed everyone. The tension between the three women continued to escalate. Shoves turned into pushes, words into shouts, and glances carried unspoken threats. The fans were caught between fear, excitement, and awe, each witnessing history unfold in real time. The club's energy seemed almost alive, responding to every emotion, every movement, every whispered accusation. Then came the ultimate twist: a previously hidden alliance between Kendra and another player in the crowd emerged, shifting the balance once more. Jasmine's eyes narrowed, calculating her next move. Rasheeda's heart sank as she realized that she was now caught in a web of chaos she could not untangle. The fans gasped, Phones pivoted to capture every detail, and the tension thickened to almost unbearable levels. Kendra stepped closer to Jasmine, the air between them charged like electricity. "So it comes down to this," she said, voice low and dangerous. "Tonight, everyone sees who holds power." Jasmine's eyes glinted, voice trembling with intensity. "And tonight, everyone sees the truth. Nothing is hidden. Nothing escapes." Rasheeda raised her hands one final time, voice cracking. "Look at me. Control yourselves, or this ends terribly." Fans screamed, phones recording, whispers running wild through the crowd. The room was a living embodiment of chaos. Every move, every glance, every breath saturated with raw emotion. The night had proven that pride, secrets, and raw power were volatile, and that once unleashed, the storm could not be contained. The three women paused for a brief second, chests heaving, eyes locked, the entire room anticipating the next explosive move. The calm was temporary, a breath before the next eruption. Spilled drinks, broken chairs, and the chaos of the night lay scattered around them, silent witnesses to the drama that had already reached historic levels. It was clear. The night's story was far from over. Each glance, each movement, each whispered secret promised further explosions, new betrayals, and shocking twists. Fans knew that the next chapter would be even more dramatic, even more intense, and even more unforgettable than everything that had come before. The club was a pressure cooker now, the tension so thick it felt like it could ignite at any second. Kendra, Jasmine, and Rasheeda had regained some composure, but the fire in their eyes burned hotter than ever. Every breath, every movement, every glance was loaded with history, pride, and raw emotion. The fans pressed closer, phones held high, capturing every detail, whispering, gasping, some frozen in shock, others cheering, all caught in the intensity of the night. Kendra paced slowly, eyes darting between Jasmine and Rasheeda. "You think tonight is over?" she muttered under her breath, jaw tight, fingers twitching. "This is only the beginning. The real story hasn't even started." Jasmine's smirk widened, eyes sparkling with determination. "I've waited too long for this night," she whispered, voice low but deadly. "Every betrayal, every secret, every hidden truth comes out tonight." Rasheeda leaned against the bar, exhausted, but alert, knowing that the storm was far from over. "Look at me," she muttered, almost to herself. "Keep control before it destroys everything." A new ripple ran through the crowd as a mysterious figure emerged from the shadows. Someone who had been observing all night, silently taking in the chaos, now stepped forward. The sudden presence sent a shiver through fans, whispers spreading like wildfire. Kendra's eyes narrowed, assessing the new potential threat. Jasmine's grin curled, sensing the perfect opportunity to shift power. Rasheeda groaned audibly, realizing that the night was about to spiral further out of her control. The first words of this next phase were explosive. Kendra stepped forward, voice low, almost a growl. "So it continues. Lies, secrets, betrayal. Tonight, the truth comes to light." Jasmine's eyes narrowed, voice rising, intensity fueling every word. "And tonight, everyone sees who you really are. The games end here." Rasheeda moved between them, hands raised, voice shaking. "ENOUGH. Control yourselves. This is out of hand." But the air between the three women crackled with tension, and her words barely made a dent. A spilled drink reignited chaos, splashing near a group of fans who shrieked and jumped back. The motion triggered renewed shoves, shouts, and aggressive stances. Kendra and Jasmine lunged, each retaliating with more force than before. Rasheeda tried desperately to hold them apart, screaming, "Stop, think before you act." But the storm of emotion had taken on a life of its own. Fans screamed, phones recording, some frozen in awe, others cheering the intensity. Then came a shocking revelation whispered from the back of the room, a secret about Kendra that instantly shifted the energy. Jasmine's eyes lit up with anticipation, whispering, "Finally, the scales are tipping." Kendra's jaw tightened, anger and disbelief flashing in her eyes. Rasheeda's hands flew to her head, realizing the chaos was uncontrollable. The storm had fully consumed everyone. The confrontation escalated. Kendra lunged at Jasmine, fists swinging. Jasmine retaliated immediately, fueled by months of frustration and pride. Rasheeda tried again to separate them, shouting, "Look at me. Stop this before it gets worse." But the physicality, the anger, the pride of emotion was overpowering. The fans roared, cheering, recording every single second. The club alive with raw intensity. Another secret surfaced, this time about Jasmine. Gasps erupted from the crowd, cameras pivoting to catch her reaction. Kendra's eyes gleamed, advantage clear. Jasmine's expression hardened, smirk sharpening into steel. This changes nothing. Tonight, the truth wins, no matter the secrets. Rasheeda's hands flew to her face, despair clear as she realized her attempts to mediate had been futile. The storm was unstoppable. Tension skyrocketed. Shoves became pushes. Glances became challenges. Words became screams. The crowd was caught between shock, excitement, and awe. Every subtle movement, every glance, every whispered accusation amplified the chaos. The club itself seemed alive, reacting to the surge of pride, rage, and emotion in the air. Then came the ultimate twist. A hidden alliance emerged, one that changed the balance of power in an instant. Kendra's eyes narrowed, smirk curling. Jasmine's grin faded slightly, eyes calculating, considering her next move. Rasheeda's heart sank, realizing she was trapped in an uncontrollable storm. Fans gasped, phones pivoted, and whispers ran through the crowd like lightning. The tension thickened, electric, unbearable. Kendra stepped forward, air tense, voice low but cutting. So it comes to this. Tonight, everyone sees who truly holds power. Jasmine's eyes glinted, voice trembling with intensity. Tonight, the truth is visible. Nothing is hidden, nothing escapes. Rasheeda raised her hands one final time, voice cracking. Look at me, control yourselves, or this ends. Fans screamed, phones recording, energy palpable. The club was a living entity of emotion, raw and dangerous. The night had proven that pride, secrets, and raw power were volatile. Once unleashed, the storm could not be contained. The three women paused for a fraction of a second, chests heaving, eyes locked, the room hanging on their next move. Spilled drinks, broken chairs, and remnants of chaos littered the floor, silent witnesses to history. The calm was temporary, a breath before another inevitable explosion. It was undeniable. The night's story was far from over. Every glance, every movement, every whispered secret promised further confrontations, shocking twists, and emotional eruptions. Fans knew the next chapter would be even more dramatic, intense, and unforgettable than anything before. Pride, betrayal, and chaos were far from finished. The silence that had settled over the club was deceptive. The tension simmered like a pot about to boil over, and everyone present knew it. Kendra, Jasmine, and Rasheeda stood a few feet apart, each gathering their thoughts. Hearts pounding, pride and fury radiating in every movement. Fans leaned in, phones raised, whispering among themselves. Eyes wide, anticipating the next explosive moment. The night had already entered legendary territory, and no one wanted to miss a second. Kendra's hands tightened into fists, jaw locked, as she slowly paced back and forth. This isn't over, she muttered, voice low and deadly. Tonight is just the beginning. The real chaos hasn't even started yet. Jasmine's smirk returned, sharp and calculating. I've waited for this moment for months, she whispered to a friend nearby. Every lie, every betrayal, every hidden agenda. Tonight, it all comes out. Rasheeda, leaning against the bar, exhaled shakily, knowing she was once again caught between two forces she could barely influence. Look at me, she muttered, almost to herself. Keep control before everything collapses. A new ripple ran through the fans as another familiar figure entered the club. Someone with a reputation for stirring drama and uncovering secrets. Their sudden presence sent whispers through the room, eyes widening, fans shifting to get a better view. Kendra's gaze sharpened, recognizing the threat immediately. Jasmine's grin widened, sensing an opportunity to turn the night even further in her favor. Rasheeda groaned, realizing the night was spiraling beyond her control yet again. The first verbal clash of this phase ignited quickly. Kendra stepped forward, voice low and dangerous, so it continues. Lies, secrets, betrayals. Tonight, the truth comes out. Jasmine's eyes narrowed, voice rising, dripping with intensity. Tonight, everyone sees who you really are. The games end here. Rasheeda stepped between them, hands raised, voice shaking. ENOUGH. Control yourselves. This is out of hand. But the tension between the women was almost physical, vibrating through the room, and her words barely registered over the anticipation and fear. Then came a sudden spill near the bar, splashing drinks over unsuspecting fans who screamed and jumped back. The motion reignited chaos. Shoves, startled reactions, and renewed shouting echoed through the club. Kendra and Jasmine lunged at each other, retaliating faster and more aggressively than before. Rasheeda tried desperately to intervene, shouting, "Stop. Think before you act." But the storm had already taken over. Fans screamed, some frozen in shock, others cheering the intensity. Phones capturing every second of the drama. A shocking revelation surfaced. An unknown secret about Kendra reached the crowd. Gasps spread instantly. eyes widening, phone swiveling to capture her reaction. Jasmine's eyes sparkled with anticipation. Finally, she whispered, voice low and cold, the scales are tipping. Kendra's jaw tightened, fury mixing with disbelief. Rasheeda's hands flew to her head, realizing that the chaos had fully consumed the room. The physical confrontation escalated. Kendra lunged at Jasmine, fists swinging, and Jasmine retaliated immediately. Rasheeda tried to hold them apart, screaming, look at me, stop this before it gets worse. But the force of their rage, pride, and emotion was overpowering. Fans roared, some cheering, some horrified, all recording every moment. The club felt alive with raw intensity, the energy almost tangible. Another secret emerged, this time about Jasmine. Gasps echoed across the room, cameras pivoting to catch her expression. Kendra's eyes glinted with advantage, smirk returning. Jasmine hardened, smirk curling with steel. This changes nothing. Tonight, the truth wins, no matter what comes out. Rasheeda's hands flew to her face in despair. Knowing her attempts at mediation had failed, the storm had taken control. Tension skyrocketed, shoves became pushes, glances became challenges, and words became screams. The fans were caught between shock, excitement, and awe, witnessing history unfold live. The club seemed almost sentient, responding to the intense surge of pride, rage, and emotion. Then a hidden alliance revealed itself, shifting the balance of power. Kendra's eyes narrowed, smirk curling. Jasmine's grin faded slightly, eyes calculating her next move. Rasheeda's heart sank, realizing she was trapped in chaos she could not untangle. Fans gasped, phones pivoted, whispers ran through the crowd. The tension thickened, electric, almost unbearable. Kendra stepped closer to Jasmine, the air between them crackling. So it comes to this. Tonight, everyone sees who truly holds power, she said, voice low and cutting. Jasmine's eyes glinted, voice trembling with intensity. Tonight, the truth is visible. Nothing is hidden, nothing escapes. Rasheeda raised her hands one final time, voice cracking, look at me, control yourselves, or this ends. Fans screamed, phones recording, energy palpable. The club was a living entity of emotion, raw and dangerous. Pride, secrets, and raw power were volatile, and once unleashed, the storm could not be contained. The three women paused for a moment, chests heaving, eyes locked, the room holding its collective breath. Spilled drinks, broken chairs, and remnants of chaos littered the floor. Silent witnesses to the drama that had already reached historic levels. The calm was temporary, a single breath before the next explosion. It was undeniable. The night's story was far from over. Every glance, movement, and whispered secret promised further confrontations, shocking twists, and emotional eruptions. Fans knew the next chapter would be more dramatic, more intense, and more unforgettable than anything before. Pride, betrayal, and chaos were far from finished. The club had transformed into a storm zone, a whirlwind of emotion, pride, and chaos. Kendra, Jasmine, and Rasheeda stood several feet apart, chests heaving, hearts pounding, eyes locked. Every movement loaded with tension. The fans leaned in, phones raised, whispers spreading like wildfire. Every breath seemed to carry the weight of months, even years, of unresolved conflict. It was no longer just a brawl, it was a battle of wills, a test of power, and a display of raw, unfiltered emotion that left everyone holding their breath. Kendra's fists clenched tighter, knuckles whitening, as she paced the floor. This night isn't over, she muttered under her breath, jaw tight. The real chaos hasn't even begun. Jasmine's eyes glimmered, sharp and calculating, a dangerous smirk playing on her lips. I've waited for this moment, she whispered, voice low but fierce. Every betrayal, every secret, every hidden truth comes out tonight. Rasheeda, leaning warily against the wall, exhaled shakily, knowing she was once again trapped in a storm she couldn't control. Look at me, she muttered, almost to herself. Control. Control before it consumes us all. The fans shifted uneasily as another figure appeared from the shadows. Someone whose reputation alone sparked murmurs and apprehension. The room's energy shifted immediately, eyes turning toward the newcomer. Kendra's gaze sharpened, calculating the threat. Jasmine's grin widened, sensing an opportunity. Rasheeda groaned softly. Knowing her night of mediation had just become impossible, the storm was about to spiral further out of control. Words flew first. Kendra stepped forward, voice low and deadly. So it continues. Lies, betrayals, secrets. Tonight, everything comes out. Jasmine's eyes narrowed, voice rising, dripping with intensity. Tonight, everyone sees the truth. No one hides anything. The games end here. Rasheeda moved between them, hands raised, voice cracking. ENOUGH. Control yourselves. This is out of hand. But the air between the women crackled with tension, her words barely penetrating the storm. A spilled drink near the bar reignited chaos. Fans shrieked and jumped back, the movement triggering renewed shoves, gasps, and yelling. Kendra and Jasmine lunged at each other again, shoves turning into grabs, retaliations growing more aggressive. Rasheeda shouted desperately, "Stop, think before you act." But the room had already become a battleground. Fans screamed, some cheering, some frozen in awe, all recording every heated second. Then came a shocking revelation, a secret about Kendra that rippled through the crowd. Gasps filled the room, eyes widening, phones pivoting. Jasmine's eyes lit up with anticipation. Finally, the balance shifts, she whispered under her breath. Kendra's jaw tightened, fury flashing. Rasheeda's hands flew to her head in despair, realizing the chaos was fully uncontrollable. The physical confrontations escalated. Kendra lunged at Jasmine, fists swinging, and Jasmine retaliated with equal force. Rasheeda tried desperately to separate them, screaming, "Look at me. Stop this before it gets worse." But the fury, pride, and emotion were overpowering. The fans roared, some cheering, some horrified, all capturing every second. The club pulsed with raw intensity, energy almost tangible. Another secret emerged, this time about Jasmine. Gasps erupted across the crowd, cameras pivoting to capture her reaction. Kendra's eyes glinted, smirk returning. Jasmine's smirk curled with steel, voice rising. "This doesn't change anything. Tonight, the truth wins. No matter what comes out." Rasheeda's hands flew to her face, despair clear. Realizing her mediation had failed, the storm had taken complete control. The tension escalated further. Shoves became pushes, glances became challenges, words became screams. The fans were caught between awe, excitement, and disbelief. Every subtle gesture, every glance, every whispered accusation amplified the chaos. The club seemed almost alive, reacting to the raw surge of pride, rage, and emotion. Then came the ultimate twist, a hidden alliance revealed, shifting the power dynamics instantly. Kendra's eyes narrowed, smirk curling. Jasmine's grin faded slightly, eyes calculating. Jasmine's grin faded slightly, eyes calculating. Her next move, Rasheeda's heart sank, realizing she was now caught in a web of chaos she could not untangle. Fans gasped, phones swiveled, whispers ran like wildfire. The tension thickened, electric, nearly unbearable. Kendra stepped closer to Jasmine, the air charged with electricity. "So it comes to this. Tonight, everyone sees who truly holds power," she said, voice low and sharp. Jasmine's eyes glinted, voice trembling with intensity. "Tonight, the truth is visible. Nothing is hidden. Nothing escapes." Rasheeda raised her hands, one last time, voice cracking. "Look at me. Control yourselves, or this ends in disaster." Fans screamed, phones recording, energy palpable. The club was a living, breathing entity of emotion, raw and dangerous. Pride, secrets, and power were volatile. And once unleashed, the storm could not be contained. The three women paused for a fleeting moment, chests heaving, eyes locked, the room holding its collective breath. Spilled drinks, broken chairs, and debris littered the floor, silent witnesses to history. The calm was temporary, a brief pause before another inevitable eruption. It was undeniable. The night's story was far from over. Every glance, every movement, every whispered secret promised further confrontations, shocking twists, and emotional eruptions. Fans knew the next chapter would be even more dramatic, more intense, and more unforgettable than anything that had come before. Pride, betrayal, and chaos were far from finished, and the storm was only growing stronger. The room felt electric, every corner buzzing with anticipation, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. Kendra, Jasmine, and Rasheeda stood apart, their bodies tense, hearts hammering, pride and fury radiating like heat waves. The fans leaned in closer, phones held high, whispers running through the crowd like wildfire. Every glance, every subtle movement, every shift in posture carried the weight of months, even years, of unresolved tension. Tonight was no longer just a brawl, it was a battle of wills, a storm of raw emotion that would be remembered forever. Kendra's fists clenched, knuckles white, as she slowly paced the floor, eyes darting between Jasmine and Rasheeda. "This isn't over," she muttered under her breath, voice low but deadly. "The real chaos hasn't even begun." Jasmine's eyes glimmered with fierce determination, a dangerous smirk playing on her lips. "I've waited for this moment," she whispered, voice quiet but fierce. "Every betrayal, every secret, every hidden truth, Tonight, it all comes out. Rasheeda, leaning against the wall, exhaled shakily, knowing she was once again trapped in a storm beyond her control. "Look at me," she murmured under her breath. "Control before it consumes us all." The fans shivered as another figure appeared from the shadows. Someone with a reputation for stirring drama and uncovering secrets. The energy in the club shifted immediately. Kendra's gaze sharpened, assessing the newcomer. Jasmine's grin widened, sensing an opportunity. Rasheeda groaned softly, realizing her night of trying to mediate had just become impossible. The storm was escalating once again. The verbal clash began almost immediately. Kendra stepped forward, voice low and dangerous. "So it continues. Lies, betrayals, secrets. Tonight, everything is revealed." Jasmine's eyes narrowed, voice rising with intensity. "Tonight, everyone sees the truth. No one hides anything. The games end here." Rasheeda moved between them, hands raised, voice trembling. "Enough. Control yourselves. This is out of hand." But the tension between the women was almost palpable, her words barely penetrating the storm. A spilled drink near the bar reignited the chaos. Fans screamed, shoving to avoid the splashes, and the motion triggered renewed shoves, gasps, and yelling. Kendra and Jasmine lunged at each other, retaliating faster and with more aggression. Rasheeda shouted desperately, "Stop, think before you act." But the storm of raw emotion had taken control. Fans roared, some cheering, some frozen in awe, all recording every moment. The club pulsed with raw intensity, energy almost tangible. Then came a shocking revelation. A secret about Kendra reached the crowd. Gasps spread instantly. Eyes widened, phones pivoting. Jasmine's eyes lit up with anticipation. "Finally, the balance shifts," she whispered. Kendra's jaw tightened, fury flashing. Rasheeda's hands flew to her head, realizing the chaos had fully consumed the room. The physical confrontations escalated further. Kendra lunged at Jasmine, fists swinging. Jasmine retaliated with equal force. Rasheeda tried desperately to separate them, screaming, "Look at me. Stop this before it gets worse." But the force of their fury, pride, and raw emotion was overpowering. Fans roared, some cheering, some horrified, capturing every second. The club seemed alive with intensity, the energy almost tangible. Another secret surfaced, this time about Jasmine. Gasps erupted across the room. Cameras pivoting. Kendra's eyes glinted, smirk returning. Jasmine hardened, smirk curling with steel. "This changes nothing. Tonight, the truth wins, no matter what comes out." Rasheeda's hands flew to her face, despair evident, realizing mediation was futile. The storm had taken control. Tension skyrocketed. Shoves became pushes. Glances became challenges. Words became screams. Fans were caught between excitement, and disbelief. Every subtle gesture, every glance, every whispered accusation amplified the chaos. The club seemed almost sentient, reacting to the raw surge of pride, rage, and emotion. Then came the ultimate twist. A hidden alliance emerged, shifting the power dynamics instantly. Kendra's eyes narrowed, smirk curling. Jasmine's grin faded slightly, eyes calculating. Rasheeda's heart sank, realizing she was trapped in a web she could not untangle. Fans gasped, phones swiveled, whispers ran like wildfire. Tension thickened, electric, nearly unbearable. Kendra stepped closer to Jasmine, the air charged with electricity. "So it comes to this. Tonight, everyone sees who truly holds power," she said, voice low and sharp. Jasmine's eyes glinted, voice trembling with intensity. "Tonight, the truth is visible. Nothing is hidden. Nothing escapes." Rasheeda raised her hands one last time, voice cracking. "Look at me. Control yourselves, or this ends in disaster." Fans screamed, phones recording, energy palpable. The club was a living, breathing entity of emotion, raw and dangerous. Pride, secrets, and power were volatile. Once unleashed, the storm could not be contained. The three women paused for a fleeting moment, chests heaving, eyes locked, the room holding its collective breath. Spilled drinks, broken chairs, debris littered the floor. Silent witnesses to history. The calm was temporary, a brief pause before another inevitable eruption. It was undeniable. The night's story was far from over. Every glance, movement, and whispered secret promised further confrontations, shocking twists, and emotional eruptions. Fans knew the next chapter would be even more dramatic, intense, and unforgettable than anything before. Pride, betrayal, and chaos were far from finished, and the storm was only growing stronger. The club was suffused with a tension that felt almost tangible, every heartbeat echoing through the room like a drum of impending chaos. Kendra, Jasmine, and Rasheeda stood a few feet apart, eyes locked, muscles taut, every nerve screaming with anticipation. The fans leaned forward, phones held high, whispers spreading like wildfire. Every glance, every subtle movement, every half smile or frown carried the weight of months, years, even of unresolved rivalries and secret grievances. Tonight was more than a confrontation. It was a spectacle of pride, fury, and raw, unfiltered emotion that no one could look away from. Kendra's hands clenched tightly, knuckles pale, as she slowly paced the floor, eyes darting between Jasmine and Rasheeda. "This isn't over," she muttered under her breath, voice low but sharp. "The real storm hasn't even begun." Jasmine's eyes gleamed with fierce determination, a dangerous smirk curling her lips. "I've waited for this night," she whispered to a friend nearby, voice quiet but cutting. "Every betrayal, every secret, every hidden truth. Tonight, it all comes out." Rasheeda, leaning against the wall, exhaled shakily, realizing she was once again trapped in a storm beyond her control. "Look at me," she muttered under her breath. "Control before it consumes everything." The fans stirred as a shadow moved in the corner, a figure known for stirring drama and exposing secrets. Murmurs rippled through the crowd, eyes widening, fans shifting to get a better view. Kendra's gaze sharpened, calculating. Jasmine's grin widened, sensing an opportunity. Rasheeda groaned softly, knowing that the night had just become exponentially more volatile. Words ignited first. Kendra stepped forward, voice low, dangerous. "So it continues. Lies, betrayals, secrets. Tonight, everything comes to light." Jasmine's eyes narrowed, voice rising, intensity dripped from every syllable. "Tonight, everyone sees the truth. No one hides anything. The games end here." Rasheeda stepped between them, hands raised, voice trembling. "Enough. Control yourselves. This is out of hand." Yet the air between the three women crackled with tension, and her words barely penetrated the storm. A sudden spill near the bar sent drinks flying, fans shrieking and scrambling. The motion triggered renewed shoves, gasps, and yelling. Kendra and Jasmine lunged at each other, retaliating faster and more violently. Rasheeda screamed desperately, "Stop, think before you act." But the storm of emotion had fully consumed the space. Fans roared, some cheering, some frozen in awe, all recording the chaos. The club pulsed with energy, almost alive, charged with the intensity of human energy, almost alive, charged with the intensity, emotion. Then came a shocking revelation, a secret about Kendra that sent a ripple through the crowd. Gasps erupted, eyes widened, phones pivoted. Jasmine's eyes sparkled with anticipation. "Finally, the scales tip," she whispered under her breath. Kendra's jaw tightened, fury flashing. Rasheeda's hands flew to her head, realizing that the chaos had completely consumed the room. Physical confrontations escalated further. Kendra lunged at Jasmine, fists swinging. Jasmine retaliated immediately. Rasheeda tried desperately to separate them, shouting, "Look at me. Stop this before it gets worse." But their combined fury, pride, and emotion were overpowering. The fans roared, some cheering, some horrified, all capturing every second. The club vibrated with intensity, the air thick with adrenaline and raw emotion. Another secret surfaced, this time about Jasmine. Gasps reverberated across the room, cameras pivoting to catch her reaction. Kendra's eyes glinted, smirk returning. Jasmine hardened, smirk curling with steel, voice rising. "This doesn't change a thing. Tonight, the truth wins, no matter what comes out." Rasheeda's hands flew to her face, despair evident. Realizing that her mediation attempts were futile, the storm had taken full control. Tension skyrocketed. Shoves became pushes, glances became challenges, words became screams. Fans were caught between awe, excitement, and disbelief. Every subtle movement, every glance, every whispered accusation amplified the chaos. The club itself seemed sentient, responding to the surge of pride, rage, and emotion. Then came a twist, a hidden alliance revealed itself, shifting power dynamics instantly. Kendra's eyes narrowed, smirk curling. Jasmine's grin faltered slightly, eyes calculating. Rasheeda's heart sank, realizing she was caught in an inescapable web. Fans gasped. Phones pivoted, whispers ran like wildfire. Tension thickened, electric, nearly unbearable. Kendra stepped closer to Jasmine, the air between them crackling. "So it comes to this. Tonight, everyone sees who truly holds power," she said, voice low and cutting. Jasmine's eyes glinted, voice trembling with intensity. "Tonight, the truth is visible. Nothing is hidden. Nothing escapes." Rasheeda raised her hands one last time, voice cracking. "Look at me. Control yourselves, or this ends in disaster." Fans screamed, phones recording, energy palpable. The club was a living, breathing entity of emotion, raw and dangerous. Pride, secrets, and power were volatile, and once unleashed, the storm could not be contained. The three women paused, chests heaving, eyes locked, the room holding its collective breath. Spilled drinks, broken chairs, and remnants of chaos littered the floor, silent witnesses to history. The calm was temporary, a brief pause before another inevitable eruption. It was undeniable. The night's story was far from over. Every glance, every movement, every whispered secret promised further confrontations, shocking twists, and emotional eruptions. Fans knew the next chapter would be even more dramatic, more intense, and more unforgettable than anything before. Pride, betrayal, and chaos were far from finished, and the storm was only growing stronger. And there you have it, the night that left everyone speechless, hearts racing, and fans utterly shocked. The chaos, the confrontations, the betrayals, the secrets, everything unfolded in a way that no one could have predicted. Kendra, Jasmine, and Rasheeda pushed the limits of emotion, pride, and raw power, proving once again why their story is impossible to look away from. The club became a battlefield, the air thick with tension, and every fan in that room witnessed history. But here's the thing, this story isn't over. Oh no, the drama, the secrets, the hidden alliances, the whispers in the shadows, they all hint at a next chapter, one even more intense, more shocking, and more unforgettable. Fans are still talking about every moment, replaying every fight, every glare, every whispered word. The room may have quieted, but the echoes of this night will linger, fueling conversations, debates, and speculation for weeks, maybe even months to come. And that's where you come in. Yes, you, watching right now. We want to hear your voice, your opinions, your reactions. Who do you think came out on top? Who holds the power after all that chaos? Did anyone truly control their emotions? Or was the storm unstoppable for everyone involved? Your thoughts matter, and this is your chance to join the conversation. Comment below with your take, your predictions, and even your hottest theories about what's coming next. Make sure to like this video if your heart was racing, if your emotions ran high just like the fans in that club, if you felt every moment, every shout, every glare. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss a moment of the drama, the betrayal, the shocking twists that only reality TV and, yes, even our recreated, sensationalized versions can deliver. Turn on the notification bell so you're the first to witness every new revelation, every new conflict, every jaw-dropping secret that comes to light. Share this video with your friends, your family, your fellow fans, anyone who loves drama, suspense, and the kind of emotional roller coaster that keeps you on the edge of your seat. Talk about it, debate about it, and keep the conversation alive. This isn't just entertainment, it's a moment in reality TV history, and you're part of it. Your voice matters, your reaction matters, your excitement fuels the story. So tell us, what do you think happens next? Will Kendra reclaim control? Will Jasmine's secrets turn the tide? Can Rasheeda finally find peace? Or is she doomed to be caught in the storm again? The answers aren't clear, the drama isn't over, and your theories are part of the legacy. Don't just watch, engage, react, and be part of the conversation. The storm may have paused, but the next chapter is coming, and you won't want to miss a single, electrifying moment. So hit like, subscribe, comment, and share. Join the fans who are already talking, who are already reacting, and who are already predicting the next explosive moment in this never-ending saga of chaos, secrets, and betrayal. This is more than just a story, it's a community of fans, a discussion of drama, and a shared experience of pure, unfiltered reality TV intensity. The storm is here, and it's only getting stronger.